So, greetings, everyone. We are hitting probably the last year, potentially the last year of the Versus Awards. I mean, it's possible that things might look up. You never know. This could strike big. I'm actually making a little bit more effort this year, even though this year it hasn't been much better than last year, unfortunately. But I'm streaming this on 3 channels concurrently, where I've advertised a little bit about this. I would have advertised earlier, but I didn't quite know when we were going to go live. So, but this is going to be the nominations this year. I'm guessing that this is Evan Jacobs on here.
Hi.
So you will find some good news today on this stream, sir, because you will be mentioned quite a few times on here, and we'll have some pretty cool nominees. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably Jake. Can you see this chat?
Well, I'm trying to arrange things on my screen, but I guess I can see.
Because I'm going to be I'm going to be controlling the IMDb on the background, so I won't be able to see it.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can. Maybe I can, like, if I arrange it little ways.
If I go,
see if I can separate it out like that. Maybe. Yeah, I can see it now. I can monitor the chat. All right. So.
Okay.
So we're gonna just go on. The nominations are done. This is an extensive process. Basically, as we go every year, we ask people for their nominations. We throw out all the categories. We will not say how many people participated, just like the other years. But the real answer is not enough.
Yes.
More people need to get in there and participate. We get more variety.
Yeah. We definitely got variety, but
yeah, we got variety. We got and Indy definitely got a good showing.
Oh yeah.
This time around. So I do think that's going to be good. So, you know, if you're not watching me on one channel, any of these channels, if you're watching, it's good because I want all of these channels to get good views. I only really control one of these channels, but I have a little bit of control over the other 2. So I thought, you know what, see if I can get Dave some extra eyes on.
Okay.
So I guess we'll get started. We got a lot to go through. What we're going to do is I've got this IMDb thing up behind me. I'll try and every time we come up with a new one on here, we're going to we'll stop, say a little bit of what it's about, or if we haven't seen it, talk about, like, you know, what IMDb says it's about, and move forward. And between the 2 of us, most of the films have been seen. But there are a few exceptions. And even in the first category, which is Best Picture,
yes,
there are ones that I haven't seen and maybe some that Jake hasn't seen.
There is one that I don't believe either of us have seen. And there's one that you saw that I didn't. But I've seen the other 8.
I've seen all but 2 of these.
Yeah.
So we'll start with, of course, the first, and I'm doing these in alphabetical order. When it comes to ones where it's got the names of the people first, I'm just doing alphabetical order first name, just because I'm not trying to put one over the other, really, essentially.
Honestly, that's how I do it anyway. I just go by first name.
So let's start with, of course, one that most people probably knew was going to be up here. The Versus Awards definitely caters to all films, and we're not as snooty as other award shows. We're not quite as exclusionary as the Oscars, but we're not quite as trashy as the People's Choice Awards. We're just a little bit trashy and a little bit snooty.
And a whole lot of crazy. So are we going to stop and feature each one, or are we going to go through the category and then talk about each one?
We'll stop and feature each one we come to when it's a new one, because after a while, we're going to be literally spending maybe 2 to 3 minutes on ones we've talked about before.
Okay. So, I was just curious.
We both nominated Barbie. So, I know we both saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't we just let's just go back and forth. So, Jake, tell us a little bit about Barbie, and of course, we'll change off if it's one that one of us has seen, the other hasn't.
So, for those who are not familiar with Barbie, the 5 of you,
yes.
Well, this movie was apparently Mattel was actively involved in the production, but it has a fascinating backstory of Greta Gerwig, one-time actor and director of Lady Bird and Little Women, directed the film from a script with her partner Noah Baumbach, who is known for such uplifting films as Marriage Story and Margot at the Wedding, as well as co-writing The Fantastic Mr. Fox. So that's a really weird background. But you got Margot Robbie as Barbie, Ryan Gosling as Ken, Simu Liu as Ken, Dua Lipa as Barbie, Kate McKinnon as Barbie, etc., etc. There's so many Barbies and Kens. And then Alan is played by Michael Cera, and he's the only one. And then you got Will Ferrell as the president of Mattel. It's a really interesting kind of meta movie, very bright and cheerful, but with deep existential underlying themes. Great soundtrack. It was one of the big event films of the year. So, yeah, it's not surprising it got in there, but
well, as it shows a teaser for The Flash, which does have some minimal representation here. But in any case, one thing I found odd about Barbie is that it's got a 6.8 on IMDb.
Really?
Yeah.
Higher.
553K. I think it's the W factor. I'm not going to say the word because I'm afraid that somebody's going to like report and do that, but I think it's the W factor and the haters going after it.
It's definitely haters. I have not spoken to anyone that's seen the movie except for one. There was one person who had strong things to say about this movie, but no one else that I know actually disliked it.
It's him. He's the one. He's the one person causing it all. I don't know how he's doing it. He's real but very good movie. Very well done. Not as bad as people like to make it out as, but really and truly, is it really ever as bad as they make it out as? Well, sometimes it is, but most of the time it's not. It's usually like, oh, well, there's a woman in this shot. Oh, well, okay, we can't support it. All right. Well, speaking of one that might be considered that. All right. The even though it says 2022, though I know it came out in 2023.
Yeah, I looked it up, and I think there was one festival or premiere screening in 22.
We can leave it because
we
consider it 2020.
We allow 2 previous year screenings.
Yeah, actually, we thought about this earlier, I think, after the first year. So we figured this out. But the blackening, we can't all die first.
Right.
And this one actually is a little bit lower rated than Barbie, but I can understand. This one is directed by Tim Story and based off of the short that we'll talk about a little bit later. The blackening essentially is about this group of people going and celebrating Juneteenth together, and they're being killed off by this seemingly racist group of people. And there's a bit of a surprise ending. And
notably, it's a group of college friends who are having a reunion of sorts after many years.
And I really liked it, which, and I gotta say, this one actually does. I think it works even if you are not of the race this is the target audience of. It actually does work. A lot of the jokes work. Of course, I got a lot of the jokes because I've heard a lot of the jokes already. But I thought it was great. It was hilarious from start to finish, in my opinion. I thought that the story was fun and the characters were fun. I mean, even like this this park ranger here that they're showing. I mean, it was just a general fun character. I think it's a great movie. I'm glad to see that it did.
Wasn't it Diedrich Bader who played the Ranger? I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember.
I think so.
But it was really good. I really hope that that we keep seeing some stuff like this. This one I think did very well as opposed to the other one that the Society for Magical, did this year. So I don't know, but I do think that if you haven't seen The Blackening and you like a good dark comedy, it is a wonderful film. I really do think that, and you kind of have to have a sense of humor. Yeah. I feel like some of the same people who probably hated on Barbie did probably hate on this for similar reasons, but this one I can see getting a 6 a little bit more than Barbie getting a 6.8, but still great film in my opinion.
Yeah, I would absolutely say Barbie is the better film, but The Blackening was a really fun movie, and I did enjoy it.
Let's see. Did you see the fourth one down for Best Picture?
The only ones I have not seen are the one that neither of us nominated, and you know which other one I did not see.
Okay. So I was going to say we might change places for this because I know I've seen this one, but I have not seen the other one.
Okay, then yeah, you can do this one.
So next down the line is Elemental. Now, this one also kind of got mixed up, a 7. And I think that's unfair and fair at the same time. And let me explain it. I really do feel like this is a reskin of Zootopia by Pixar in a lot of ways, but it does try to differentiate itself a little bit. It's still imaginative. It's still got a lot of fun, a lot of witty writing, good voice acting. It is gorgeous to look at.
Absolutely.
And I do wish I'd seen it in theaters. But to me, very well deserved. This is basically a story about, immigrants, essentially, and them getting along with society at large. And, of course, this kind of Romeo and Juliet situation about two elementals, because this is an elemental city where you get air, water, fire, and earth elementals kind of trying to get along. And this water elemental and this fire elemental kind of try to hit it off. And it goes into this romance plot, but also this kind of plot of subtle racism and city mechanics. And, a few other things that go. I'm not going to ruin it for people. I think that most of y'all should see it. Peter Sohn is the director of it. And you've got a lot of fun things, a lot of good voice acting. Leah Lewis, Mamadou Athi, and Ronnie Del Carmen. But that's just a small portion. Did you like Elemental as well?
Oh, I loved Elemental. Absolutely stunning score in this one. And good original song. Didn't end up making the cut, but it's good. But yeah, I would agree. This was an absolutely gorgeous movie. Pixar's brought their A game for the animation. No doubt about it. Yeah.
True enough. Won't be the last we'll see of this one.
Right.
Or this next one that I've never seen.
Yeah. This one was surprisingly high ranking on our list.
A little bit better than The Blackening in the rating.
Knock at the Cabin. Another mid-budgeted horror-tinged movie, but very, very different in a lot of ways from The Blackening. This one features, among others, Dave Bautista and Rupert Grint, a grown-up Ron Weasley, are 2 of 4 who descend upon a cabin in the woods where a couple, Jonathan Groff and I can't remember the other dude offhand, but they have adopted a very precocious young girl, and they're going away for a weekend in the woods. And Bautista is the first to approach. He approaches the little girl, makes friends with her, and eventually they force their way into the cabin and take the 3 hostages. I don't know if I should really go into the particulars of what is about to happen, because it might give away important plot points. Suffice it to say, it is based on a book that it supposedly changed a lot from the book. So if you're familiar with the book, which I think is called The Cabin at the End of the World, can't remember the author offhand, it's different. But it is a movie by M. Night Shyamalan, so you know there's a twist. The only thing is the twist is telegraphed in the first 20 minutes of the film, so, you know, I really don't know if it's that much of a plot spoiler, but we'll leave it at that. It's a good movie. I liked it. I didn't love it as much as the people that nominated it, but it's a solid film.
Yeah, I've actually only not seen 3 of his films that I can think of. I know Old. I've never seen that one because
Oldest one I did see.
I've never seen The Last Airbender because I heard it's shit.
Yeah.
And I've never seen this one, mainly because I just haven't gotten to it. I've been mildly interested, and I guess I will see it now that it's up for our Best Picture. I got to find out why this is one of the best films of the year.
A lot of people talk shit about Shyamalan, but I think The Last Airbender is the main reason.
So I guess I will run up. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'll switch back with you so we can get back on the regular track.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you'll want to talk about this one.
Okay.
Darn it. Why did it move?
Okay.
Minus 1. There we go.
Okay.
For some reason, it just does not want to. It's because of all the playing of the ads and stuff, which I'm going to try and just move that down so it's not. Okay. Go for it.
Okay. So this is Gojira minus 1.0 or a Godzilla minus 1. It is a fascinating entry in the Godzilla canon. First of all, it's the first Godzilla movie to win an Oscar. Got a well-deserved nod for visual effects. But it's actually a period piece that is not in any way, shape, or form a sequel to any of the existing Godzilla films. It is more like a kind of sort of prequel to the Hiroaki Anno Godzilla, Shin Godzilla, but even there, it's not a full prequel. It's kind of it's its own little thing, but it takes place in post World War II Japan, where the main characters are people who were already struggling in the wake of Japan's defeat in World War II, and then Godzilla strikes.
Then Godzilla shows up.
Yes. And it's a really good movie. I enjoyed it a lot, and so I'm kind of glad to see it up here.
I admit, I don't think I nominated it. Or no, I did. I nominated it a couple of times at the end.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. I just liked a lot of the other films I saw better. It kind of reminds me of kind of a rehash of the first film in a lot of ways. There's even an oxygen destroyer callback and a few other things that calls back to the original Godzilla film.
Oh, there were a lot of callbacks.
So, again, I thought it was all right. I'll admit there were a lot of times I kind of zoned out, but not as much as I did for Shin Godzilla. But still, I know a lot of people are glad to have that up there. This is the best rated film so far on IMDb. 7.7.
Well, people love it.
So, but I think we'll get higher rated soon enough.
I think this was actually one of the top grossing Godzilla films too, and one of the top grossing films that Toho's done.
Actually, we just topped it on IMDb.
And I just watched this again a couple nights ago.
So this one got a couple of actually I think this is the one Marvel movie that got other than another one that's on this list that got the most nominations. And this is probably the only Disney Marvel movie that got the most nominations this year. which is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, this was an interesting one. It kind of goes into Rocket Raccoon's backstory. It's got a lot of the heart of the other Guardians movies. It was pretty good overall with the human evolutionary, I believe. Was that right?
High evolutionary. Yeah.
Being the major villain in it.
And he is one twisted piece of...
The sad thing is, I did want to see the mask, I admit. But I understand. The actors want their face to see.
Yeah.
But still, I wanted to see the mask. That was like one of my favorite parts of the character from the comics, is that weird robo mask he wears. But still, it was interesting. I thought it was entertaining and imaginative, and probably one of the better of the crop this year of superhero films. And there were a lot of superhero films this year, this past year. Most of them from DC. But
and another ensemble piece featuring Dave Bautista.
James Gunn definitely, as he leaves the Marvel universe, did a pretty good job coming back with this. This is a good trilogy. I look for. I've even got a Rocket Raccoon popcorn 10, which I did not get watching this. It was watching another film that, by the way, has had nominations for on here, but not in Best Picture. So, still, I mean, I guess it's good that a Marvel movie got up here, and it is the highest rated. So, if IMDb was keeping the voice so far, this would be the winner of Best Picture of the year so far. I'm pretty sure that we both disagree about that, but
although it's close.
So, I guess our next one is an animated feature. I think it's this one.
Yeah.
And I never saw it, and I'm thinking this is one that you never saw either.
I have not seen it either. In fact, I don't even think I heard about this until I got the nomination sheet.
I sort of heard about this. I think I saw a trailer for it and then ignored it. But we're talking about Leo, of course.
Yep.
I guess I'll see this since it's on Netflix.
Right. But, is it Netflix? Yeah, that'll be easy enough to find.
But the name Adam Sandler kind of...
Well, and notably, Sandler and his buddy Rob Schneider, which really makes me groan, were nominated in the acting categories. We had a fan of this movie. It's the one on the list that neither of us saw, and I intend to see it, but yeah, I didn't even know it was out there, honestly.
Apparently better rated than Barbie.
Wow.
7.0.
Rachel wants to say hi. Hey, bud.
Yeah, we've seen Rosie come up on here several times.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, and way better than Blackish, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. It could be good.
It could be. I mean, Sandler is, when he's on, he's not bad. And he is a decent voice actor.
Sandler is the ultimate mixed bag.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But I think we can move on.
Yes.
All right. So, let's see here. I'll tell you what. I will cover the next one.
Okay.
You can cover the one after that and the last one, and I'll cover the two micro-budget films that are in.
That seems logical. This is not a micro-budget film.
But I'll cover one of the two artsy films.
Yes.
So far it would be the winner if IMDb was deciding it with an 8.3.
Yeah, it's actually on the. Is it on? No, it's not on the top 250. I thought, or is it?
Let's see. Where would it say on here?
It would say it right next to the ranking, I think. So no, I guess it's not.
Nope.
That's a little surprising.
What is this one? Most popular movies. Right now, Beverly Hills Cop F is the most popular movie.
Have not seen it. Guess we'll have to by next year.
But yeah, this is a pretty impressive one. And Christopher Nolan brings it again,
Mm-hmm.
which is good because one of his previous outings, I did not like Tenet, uh,
It
but
was okay. It was one of his weaker ones.
but this has some amazing performances by Cillian
Mm-hmm.
Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon. This is essentially the Oppenheimer story, as told through the lens of the congressional hearings and what went on. And in truth, it is a very interesting film. I was having a hard time thinking about how I would like it, and I still need to watch it back to back with Barbie because
Yes,
apparently Barbenheimer is a thing.
it was a total pop culture out of nowhere thing. And I wanted so bad to go to that twofer, and it just never happened. I did see Barbie in theaters. I did not get to see this one in theaters. I
If
would have.
this was only 2 hours long instead of 3 hours long,
Yeah,
maybe I would have considered it.
that makes it tricky.
But
Yeah, 3 hours on the dot according to IMDb.
yeah, very well done film. If you haven't seen it, you should.
Mm-hmm.
But I could say that about most of the 12 here.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm going to give the other people who participated the nod. Okay, yes, we should see all 12 of these. If you watch all of any category, this should be the category you watch all of.
But you can vouch for most of them.
Because these films are probably these are probably the best of the best of 2023.
Eh.
Well, according to us.
According to us.
Yes.
But what do we know?
All right. So speaking of artsy.
Yes. Okay. Poor Things by Yorgos Lanthimos, who you can tell by his name is a director of artsy films. We were introduced to him by the ultimate art in spite of the audience film, Dogtooth.
Oh God, that thing.
But he has actually grown tremendously as a director. I was fascinated by The Lobster. I have not yet seen Killing of a Sacred Deer, but I need to. But I actually genuinely enjoyed The Favorite, and I straight up loved Poor Things. I've heard mixed things about his new movie, Kinds of Kindness, but I intend to go see it. I'm intrigued. I wanted to go see this, but just like Oppenheimer, it just never materialized. It's like getting to the movie is easier said than done. But I did finally watch it, and almost immediately he wanted to do Strange May, and I'm like, oh, I have the perfect film. So we've actually covered this on Movies Galore, so check out that discussion. But Poor Things is a movie. What's up?
No, I just clear my throat.
Poor Things is an adaptation. I believe the book was by, I don't remember the original author, but anyway, it's an adaptation featuring Emma Stone as Bella, a young woman who is at the same time her own mother and daughter. It's basically Willem Dafoe plays Godwin Baxter, a deeply scarred, very peculiar, one might say mad scientist, but he's genuinely curious. Like, he is one of those people who just lives to learn, regardless of the morality of it, I guess you could say. And he finds a drowned woman, very heavily pregnant, who he determines that there's still enough spark of life there that, well, naturally, he has to cut open her head, take out the brain, cut open the baby's head, take out the brain, put it in the woman's head, and raise it from there, because that's what you do, right? I mean, I wish I could remember the exact quote, but it's one of the best moments in Defoe's career. Because it's so matter of fact, like, yeah, why not? But so basically, Stone plays Bella from a grown up with the mind of an infant to a very mature adult who has managed to mature free of the prejudices of society. And it's a really fascinating character arc. Emma Stone 100% deserved her Oscar. But you also have key supporting roles from Willem Dafoe, Rami Youssef, Mark Ruffalo, some other good solid folks in there. Fantastic production design. It's just a really intriguing film. And I think this ended up being my second favorite pick of the year, actually.
I was looking at it on IMDb Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Darn, IMDb. I'd almost look them all up on IMDb Pro, but okay, no, it does do the ratings breakdown. Okay, so yeah, but good film, beautiful film, amazing acting, well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
But you said enough on that, I think. Let's see here. So I'm going to take the wheel for a couple of these.
Another one we did on Movies Galore.
Yes, we did.
We had those paired together.
So Sean's senior year. This one probably hasn't gotten rated yet. Nope. Which is a shame, really.
Real.
It's by directors Sean Miller and Evan Jacobs. And this is essentially a longitudinal study documentary going through Sean's senior year. So Sean is an individual who has been who is on the spectrum, and he's been going through to transition to a through high school to an adult training program. The problem is his graduation date was for summer of 2020, which unfortunately many of us know that was a very bad time to graduate. So we get to see a lot of the struggles and the work to adapt and overcome changes when change is difficult. I really liked this documentary. It was one of my favorite films of the year. I thought it was amazingly done. I like the music in it. I think that it puts us it gives us a window in to something that we rarely ever see, at least not at this level. And I personally am very much for this. I'm very much a proponent of this. I don't know if I was the only person who voted for it for the best picture. I think I was.
Yes.
But to me, it is probably the best picture of the year.
Well, there was no listing for it at all on IMDb?
This is on IMDb Pro, so.
Oh, okay. Huh.
I
Interesting.
just decided, hey, I'll switch over to that since I'm paying for it.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, there's no rating for it right now. You get to see the movieometer.
Right. Oh, I guess the way I have my screen set up, I can't see that. Let's see. Maybe I'll have to.
Oh, wait, I know why. Give me just a minute. There you go.
Ah, there we go.
So yeah, there's the movieometer.
Okay.
But yeah, if you haven't watched it, you should.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Anhedenia. A lot of these are on Anhedenia on demand, which is on Vimeo. And take a look at it. Give it a vote. Let's get this an IMDb rating, people.
Right.
And for a budget of $500, not bad.
Right.
So what is the movie? What is the movieometer? Movie meter.
I think that tracks interest in it, or how many people look it up.
Well, definitely a lot of them looked it up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, do you have anything to say on this one?
No, I think you mostly covered it. I mean, I personally was a little underwhelmed by it, but I did appreciate the again, like you said, for like $500 budget, it has that kind of scrappy underdog feel, which is kind of nice. And it definitely you do. The point of a good documentary is to help you learn. And I feel like this one does give us some insight into this individual's life and what have you. And so, yeah, in that regard, it succeeded pretty well.
Well, there's another one.
The next one is one of the two I have not seen yet. And I'm kind of dreading seeing this one.
Oh, I love this one. And so Steve Rudzinski has 2 films that are nominated this year, but only one in the Best Picture category. And this is Shingles the movie, which are these kind of tales that are loosely based off of, like, say, things like, what was it? Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It came out of nowhere for me. I was surprised at this. And I'm generally a fan of Steve Rudzinski. I've only not liked one of his films that I've seen. And he's done a lot of films.
Good deal.
So he's great at horror comedies, and this is definitely one. The one with the gnome especially is hilarious. I think it's going to be one that's just a general fun. Did this one get an IMDb?
Now, it's my understanding that there's a lot of gross out humor in this one. Is that correct?
Not a ton.
Okay, good.
I think you can deal with it. I mean, you watched the film we were watching tonight, which probably has more gross out than this one.
Yeah, but that's not intended to. That's intended to evoke horror, not or empathy.
But hey, it got a 6.1, so it's actually a 0.1 over The Blackening in point.
Wow. Okay.
So I know his films do have a higher reach sometimes than others, and it was a $50,000 budget, so we're getting up there a little bit. So yeah.
All right.
But now we're gonna go to one that probably has a slightly higher budget
and definitely higher rating. I think this may be the top-rated film of the year according to IMDb. And it was my top-rated film of the year.
And one I still haven't seen yet.
Yeah. All right. So we're looking at Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which, of course, is the follow-up to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, 8.6.
What's up?
8.6.
Yep. And like I said, it is definitely high in the rankings. I think it's in the I'd have to double-check, but I want to say it's probably around 30 or 40. On their overall best top 250. But so this, of course, like I said, the follow-up to Into the Spider-Verse, it brings back Shamik Moore as Miles Morales, a.k.a. Spider-Man, and brings back Hallie Steinfeld as Gwen Stacy, a.k.a. Spider-Woman or Ghost Spider, depending on what point in the comics you're at. Brings in Oscar Isaac as Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. You've also got a variation on Jessica Drew, another alternate Spider-Woman. And you have Jason Schwartzman as a weird-ass villain by the name of The Spot. And The Spot he starts off straight up hilarious before becoming an actual genuine threat. The movie focuses heavily on the multiversal nature of being a Spider-Man. You have basically a council of Spider-Men, you might say, that Spider-Man 2099 is in charge of. And he reluctantly brings Gwen Stacy on board. He does not want Miles involved. And as the movie goes on, we come to find out why. And it's a really intriguing movie. Lately there's been this whole comic book multiverse thing, and I'm sure a lot of people are kind of tired of it by now.
Well, this is one of the originals that really started into it.
Yes, but this is one that really does it well. It does it very, very, very well. And it kind of like No Way Home. It brought in some interesting and weird cameos. For example, Aaron Glover, who played Prowler in a live-action Spider-Man, actually has a cameo in the movie. It's interesting the way that they tied in some of the cameos. But it's a fantastic film. And it did, one thing that took me so long in watching it is that a lot of people said from the word go, it has a very dark cliffhanger ending. It wasn't as dark and cliffhanger-ish as I feared. It's a logical stopping point for the story, but we still have to wait about a year before the next part of the story. So that was part of the reason for my delay in watching it. But when I finally did, I was like, yes, this movie kicks all kinds of ass.
Yeah, I'll be delaying my vote a little bit longer until I see it, but I've just been, like I said, I've been reluctant because I don't like the idea of watching. So that's why I haven't watched Dune Part 2, which I am thankful hasn't gotten any nominations. Well, 2024.
That just came out this year. And I have a copy from the library. I plan to watch it this week.
That's kind of good because then I can just wait on Dune 3, especially if we're not doing the Versus Awards anymore after this year.
Oh, there is a 3-parter? Ah, shit.
It's a 3-parter. So, yeah.
Damn.
So I'll probably wait until Part 3 comes out and then watch the 2 back to back because I didn't like watching one and then realizing I gotta wait now.
Yeah.
This is one I'm going to be reluctantly watching because of that. I don't like watching.
I knew there were 2 parts. I didn't realize there were 3.
So, but yeah. So that's Best Picture. All right, folks, that's it.
Well,
Take care. No, just kidding.
Well, let's go ahead just so that everyone has it fresh in their mind. So, Best Picture: Barbie, The Blackening, Elemental, Knock at the Cabin, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Leo, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Sean Senior Year, Shingles the Movie, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
12 powerhouse films of the year.
Yes. And there were some good ones nominated. The next one that missed the cut was Migration, then Evil Dead Rise and The Holdovers. A bunch of others were in the mix, but yeah, you got to make choices, unfortunately.
So I guess we're just going to get right into a live action short subject.
Okay.
So each of these are interesting, these 6. All the categories are 6 from here on out. I thought, for instance, that I had nominated this one, but now I realize I did because I remember it now.
Yeah. There's 2 here I nominated, 1 we both nominated, and 3 of them are yours.
So when we get to the one that when we get to the ones that you definitely nominated, we'll go for it.
Yeah.
And I know you've seen. Let's see here. Yeah, we both nominated that one.
The first one, the 4th one, and the 6th one.
Yeah. So this one was really good. But I will, and I know you've seen the second one.
I did.
But if you nominated this one, I will let you go for it since.
Okay. So the first one we have, I believe, was actually an Oscar nominee. It was called The After. And it focuses on David Oyelowo, who is a father who is now an Uber or Lyft or one of those drive share kind of whatever the hell. But he is recovering from the events. It's a short, but it's kind of split in 2. And the first part of the short, he is hanging out with his daughter. They meet up with his wife. They're having a nice, great day. And then something happens. And I'm going to leave it there so that if you watch it, you can discover for yourself. The rest of the film is him trying to move on after. And I thought it was a very deeply affecting movie. The acting was brilliant. The shocking event when it happens, I knew something was coming, so it probably would have been more shocking if I went in blind. But it still manages to go, the hell.
I didn't even know that it was up for an Oscar because
Yeah.
I actually heard of it by random chance.
Oh,
Seeing it.
okay.
So, yeah. So it's kind of funny how that happened because it's on Netflix and I was able to catch it as on like,
So
oh, look,
you watched it blind?
yeah, I didn't know what it was.
What do you think about that?
I thought it was pretty good. It was a very well done film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a lot because I watched it way back. I watched it the fall of last year. So
okay.
So my mind is kind of like hazy on it, but I remember it being good and well done.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the next one much more recently because it was much more recent.
Yeah.
So
slightly more recent for me.
All right. So we're going to a horror short, which I gotta look and see if I can find it.
There should be a listing for it.
I know there's a listing for it. There it is. Called Bus Stop. Now, though Jake didn't necessarily nominate it, I know he's seen it.
Yeah.
Because I showed it to him.
It was good. It was good.
5.6 rating. I really like this. I get into the horror short rabbit hole on YouTube. And this one's still easily watchable on YouTube. Some of these are not easily watchable. So far, they are. Netflix, YouTube. I think we're pretty good on that. But Bus Stop is about this dude who's just waiting at a bus stop, and then this girl comes and starts talking to him. And then you find out that there is something much more supernatural about this bus stop than meets the eye. And it gets really intense at one point. I'm not going to ruin it for you. You should watch it. It only takes 13 minutes to watch. If you like something that's got a genuine, scary, spooky feel to it, this will do that. And it has a good, creepy feel plus a scary moment as you get towards the climax. So thought it was really good. Glad to see some horror shorts on here, which is why I'm glad that we do these awards. Otherwise, they would just be art pieces that had lots of money behind them.
And short films are a thoroughly underrated way of a piece of cinema. And one thing that I like is that Netflix does do so many shorts. There's also a lot of them that are available on YouTube. A lot of shorts are still a pain in the ass to find, unfortunately. And pinning down when they're actually released can be extremely difficult too. But they're more accessible than they used to be. So I'd like to see more people get into them, you know?
Actually, right before I said screw you to the Oscars. And now I don't even care. To me, it's mostly politics. They're probably decent films, most of them, but it's mostly about politics. It's not about the best films or best acting. It's just whoever they feel deserves it that year. So I've learned to just say heck with it. But I did take 1 year, and I saw every single nominee. I can't remember which one it was. It was either 22 or 23. 22 probably.
Yeah.
And I watched all of them, including the shorts. But I had to hunt, and I had to find out a way of getting online where I could see all the shorts together, and I got lucky. But not easy. Sometimes they like to hide a lot of their shorts from people.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if you've seen this one.
I have not.
All right. Oh, let's see if it is on. I know it's on here because Kyle would have made it. So The Night the Dead Walked. This is a short by director Mark Chindemi. Also easily watchable on YouTube. It stars Kyle Rappaport and has some makeup effects. I would guess Douglas Godino is involved because usually the three of them are. And it's a Night of the Living Dead tribute short film. where these people are like, sitting in this kind of house, and there's some connection between the TV signals, digital signals, and these zombies coming back from the dead. It's got some good callbacks to it. It's a pretty decently made short. If you haven't checked it out, you should. His channel has, I think, 3 shorts on it now, and all 3 of them are pretty decent shorts for the horror shorts. And I think one of them now I've got up for next year's label, because I always, whenever I watch a film for a year that's recent, if it's there, I start putting it on my list. And like I say, it's well worth your time if you like a good horror short, and if you like Night of the Living Dead and you want to see something that's kind of tribute to it. That's all I gotta say about that, and I believe you haven't really. So let's see. Actually, they probably put it on there. Ritter.
Like.
There you go.
Ritter Like. I'm probably mispronounced that. It's also called Night of Fortune. I want to say it's a Swedish film, but I'm not remembering that.
7.1.
What's up?
7.1. I am.
Yes. And it was also an Oscar nominee.
Where it's watchable?
What's up?
Where is it watchable?
I cannot swear to it where I saw it, but I want to say I saw it on YouTube. Might have been Netflix. I can't remember. It was a couple months back. But it was not hard to track down. I do know that.
That's good.
What's up?
That's good.
Yeah. But this is a really good movie and a very weird and interesting one. This guy is at a funeral home, and the film basically starts with him being told, "I'll leave you alone to say goodbye to your wife," basically by the mortuary director or whoever. And he is distracted by a light that's not working. And he basically does everything he can to avoid saying goodbye to his wife. He meets up with this other guy who says, "Would you go with me? I'm afraid to go on my own." And they end up going and saying goodbye. He ends up standing by awkwardly while the other guy's saying goodbye to his wife. But then it gets really awkward. And I'm not going to say exactly what happens because it's a fun surprise. But suffice it to say, this guy, through his interaction with this other guy, is finally ultimately able to do what he needs to move on. It's a really fascinating little film, very very Nordic in its sensibilities. I will say that. I'm
reminded of that one where the guy goes in for the karaoke thing.
It's a good film. It's worth watching. Yeah.
You're going to just scratch up my comic box, huh? All right. Well, the next one is another one I definitely put up. Let's see here.
This may have been one of the ones I asked you about because I didn't have a freaking clue what movie you were even looking at.
Let's see here. It might be one that I was only able... I know I usually look these up on IMDb when I put it in. I can tell you what it is as I go in. It's a film called Tunnel. It's a short film, a short horror film, essentially about this tunnel that this guy finds.
You showed me this one, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I showed you this.
Okay,
one.
I know.
It's on Netflix. I mean, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Essentially, it's about this guy comes upon this tunnel in the woods, and it says 2021, but that's not what I saw in the last time I looked this up. But essentially, a guy comes upon a tunnel in the woods, and he finds out that it leads him into this kind of extra-dimensional space. Now, I've got to get the cat because the cat is tearing at my comic box.
Don't want that.
There we go. But this is one of those that I am surprised it ranked that came back that far, because last time I looked this up, it actually said 2023 on it.
Well, again, if you look at the actual release dates, that'll give you more information. It could be that it had a festival screening in 21 and didn't show again until 23.
It's possible.
But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's really hard to know with these short films. We do the best we can to give them the right year.
Well, we'll give it its due this year, since it's gotten a nomination. Okay. But it was a good, creepy one. I thought it was a great thing for nature photographer, and of course, seeing the ending of it was cool. If you haven't watched it, you should. There was a similar one done, also a British one, that was done pretty well as well. Though there's no budget on this side, surprisingly. Well, the last one I will leave to you. Okay. Even though I think I also nominated this one.
And the last one, I believe, may have been the one that won the Oscar this year. It's called The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Directed by Wes Anderson and starring Benedict Cumberbatch with... sorry. But basically... you had, I know Ben Kingsley was in there. You got Ray Fine, I believe. Basically, for some reason, Anderson got on a real Roald Dahl kick this year. He did at least 4 short films based on Dahl's work. And the films The Poison, The Swan, and The Ratcatcher were all nominated.
Yeah.
But The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is the one that ended up getting our coveted slot in the top 6.
Shoot, I thought I nominated more than one.
I think you did. I think we both nominated more than one. And I just want to throw out there for the record, Ray Fine's performance in The Ratcatcher is probably one of the best he has ever had. It was
I love The Ratcatcher.
But it's Henry Sugar is a good, solid film. I didn't love it the way I loved a couple of the shorts that I saw, but I really enjoyed it. And I'm glad to see it get up there. Like I said, I hope Anderson does more shorts, but he really was in a groove with these 4 films, and I kind of hope he mixes it up a little in future ones. But
Anderson definitely did have a year here too, because we see him mentioned a couple of times here.
Yep.
All right. Well, for this one, we have The After, Bus Stop, Night the Dead Walked, Night of Fortune, Tunnel, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
And I do want to mention that The Strange Way of Life by Pedro Almodovar came really close, and it's worth at least mentioning. So
I will let you introduce the start of this one, because it's the one that you've seen, and maybe the only one can see this.
Yes, unfortunately. So animated short, best film animated short subject is...
Apparently not many people have seen it yet.
It's a very interesting nomination, very interesting slate of nominees we have this year. And it leads off with a film by filmmaker Annika Niems called Brewberry Spell that I actually backed it on Kickstarter. So I can tell exactly whether it was a 2023 release in the sense of meeting our rules, because it was available to stream online starting in 2023, but it was only available for a specific film festival for a relatively brief limited time. And despite my asking everyone in the Academy to make sure they watched the film, I don't think anyone bothered to. So I may have been the only one who will get to see this. I've actually contacted the filmmaker, and she said that because it's still in the festival process, it may not be available for streaming again before anytime soon. But that doesn't mean it won't be. I don't know for sure what the future holds. But anyway,
it's got a month. It's got a little less than a month.
Yes. But anyway, Blueberry Spell is a very cute film. It's a film about a witch who is very witchy looking and very self-conscious about it, who falls in love with a barista, and she has a transformation spell that she does so that she can be, quote, normal looking, to join a bunch of friends of this barista, join them all for a big celebration going on at I think it's like a bonfire at the beach or some such thing. And it's just a real cute, sweet tale. It's definitely one of the LGBTQ plus stories, since both of the protagonist and her love interest are both females. But it's just a really cute film, decent animation, and I was just really happy to finally get my name on an animated film. But I actually genuinely liked it a lot. I'm disappointed that more people didn't watch it, but
I don't even remember. I think the time frame that you had was low, and I think you had to pay to watch it too.
I think it was like a free trial. You had to join a specific, you had to like sign up for something, but it was like a free trial, and I don't think I've ever been charged.
Well, now we'll get on to one that a lot of people have probably seen on Disney+.
This one was easy to find if you bothered to watch the movie it was attached to.
But Once Upon a Studio is the celebration of the 100th anniversary that Wish was meant to be, in a lot of ways, where a bunch of the Disney characters climb out of their frames to take a picture. And they bring back actually a surprising amount of voice talent for this one. It's kind of great to see all the cameos from all the different eras of Disney. And it's a very fun 9-minute short. And when I say this is what I was kind of hoping Wish would be, I'm not lying. This would have been a great 100th anniversary feature to have kind of the Disney heroes and villains kind of facing off against each other.
What was the film we covered in our Disney video that I said was the other one that wasn't in this? Because we know what one of them was. There were only 2 Disney films with animation that were not featured in this short. One of them, of course, was Song of the South.
Well, yeah.
And the other one was a film that came out at a similar time frame that was also largely live action, but I can't remember the title.
Was it that one with the donkey and so on? That one of the earliest ones?
It was one of the earliest ones, yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it's the one with the donkey in it that we were talking about. But yeah, actually, Brer Rabbit. It wouldn't have been that long ago that Brer Rabbit probably would have made an appearance in it. But people started really over the last couple of years really going at Splash Mountain.
Plus, Disney's been ashamed of that property for a long time.
There's a lot more they should have been ashamed of. So I'm not really.
But this one was a little bit debatable as an animated short. Not every frame had animation, but when it comes down to it, it might as well have been.
I'm looking for this one.
Yes.
It's not a composer.
It's about 6 down, I think.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I might even have nominated this one. Huh?
I think you did, but I've watched it. It's a good little film.
You can talk about it if you... Actually, did you nominate or any of the last ones that you fully nominated?
I haven't seen the last 3.
Oh,
those are all your nominations.
Then go ahead. I have to be reminded about some of these. It's been a while.
So Piece of Cake is a really cute little one about, another LGBTQ plus one, but it's also more of a kind of a women empowerment one, about 2 figurines on wedding cakes who kind of are friendly to each other from across the way. And one of them is partnered with a guy who seems like kind of a limp rag, but not bad. And one of them is partnered with a total masochistic asshole who actually breaks her arm. They're ceramic pieces. He actually leads to her arm getting broken off completely. She tries to fly away from him, get away from him. The other one ends up stepping in to help. It's just a cute little short, a lot of fun. Not long at all. IMDb says 4 minutes. I didn't remember it being that short, but it's a short one.
Yeah. Also on YouTube last time.
Yeah. Yep.
So far, most of them are viewable, so that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
RESILIENC. The sad thing is, it is a hard thing when it's been a while since you've watched some of these, because I filled my shorts category in the fall for the most part. Let's see. I think it's this one.
Yeah. I know I had trouble.
Oh, yes. This is a good one.
This one and the next one, I had trouble finding them, so I don't know if they're still available. But
yeah, I saw it originally on YouTube. Again, 3 minutes. I love how it is because it starts with a soldier dying in a war, and then as time goes on and civilization kind of dies and reforms, you just see the skeleton there as nature reclaims the land and the people there. And it was a really well done one. I thought that the message was well taken care of, and that even as time goes, the Earth has the ability to heal itself. We just got to eliminate the people. And 7.5 IMDb rating, which is not bad.
Nice.
So last one.
Well, second to last.
Oh yeah, Riot Doll. There it is. That was easy. Riot Doll, which is a 2023. In Moscow, a young delivery girl is witness to the hatred that invading her society. Overwhelmed, she discovers a curious loophole into a deal with the war supporters. However, the reality she is trying to escape soon catches up. 6.8. But this one's a pretty powerful message as well, because this girl is sitting there, she's living with her family, and she's living as a delivery driver under Putin's Moscow. And of course, it's got a lot of powerful messages about war and warmongering and the kind of elites. A very good one, very politically powerful one. One I could see even up on the Academy list. It probably doesn't have the length or the budget behind it, but I would say that it definitely has enough of a drive behind it. And it's only 7 minutes, and last time I saw it was on YouTube. Hopefully it's still there, but definitely one of the better ones.
I think this year, most of the Oscar-nominated shorts in the animated and documentary categories were hard to find. Like the live action ones were much easier overall.
So that's another one that got left behind because that's just 2021.
Right. And that's why I think I watched this one and I think I enjoyed it, but I didn't bother nominating it because I thought it was too old. But yeah. Well, I mean, again, with short films, it can be hard to tell.
But this one got 6.7. I did like this one because it talks a lot. It kind of debates about depression, antidepressant pills, and just how it is. I mean, even when you can see that the woman there is kind of like she's doing a lot of the same stuff he's going through, but she's kind of medicated and so on. And I really did like the way that they did this. I love the imagery of it. Another one that is available on YouTube. Definitely worth a look if you haven't seen it. Regardless of the year, definitely worth a look.
Yes.
I mean, it's 7 minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
best animated film. Go ahead and read them down for us.
Our best film animated short subject. We had Blueberry Spell, Once Upon a Studio, Piece of Cake, Resilience, Riot Doll, Soft Rain. And I do want to give a shout out to the film 95 Senses that came really close.
So we're going to Best Original Screenplay.
Alrighty.
Which I struggled with, apparently. Had to reorder. But we'll start with you on this.
Wasn't as bad as some other people, but anyway. Yes, we will start with Celine.
Right,
What's it? Yes.
Okay.
We will start with the film Past Lives, written and directed by Celine Song. Celine Song, of course, being nominated here for her writing. It's a film about a woman who comes from South Korea. She and this other guy were very, very, very good friends when they were kids. They were besties when they were kids. And then she moved to America. And they kind of lost touch with each other. And then they get back in touch with each other. At this point, she has grown up, moved on, and married, and is quite close with her husband. But she eagerly reconnects with this old friend who, let's just say, he didn't move on as successfully as she did. And the movie revolves largely around their interactions once reconnecting, including him actually coming to New York and spending time with her and her husband. And it's a really great film. Lots of fantastic performances, great music. But more than anything, I just thought it was very, very, very well written, which is why I pushed so hard for the screenplay.
All right. Well, might as well get this one as well because I haven't seen this one either.
Man, you're missing out. So The Holdovers is that rarest of beasts. An Alexander Payne film that will almost make you feel good. His movies tend to be very dark, bleak. And The Holdovers definitely has some characters who are dealing with stuff. You've got Paul Giamatti, who is a bitter English professor who believes that all of his students are slackers and losers. You have one of his students who is, in fact, a slacker and loser, but who believes that he is more important than, and who gets into all kinds of shenanigans. And Davine Joy Randolph plays the school cook who is dealing with the loss of, it takes place in the early 70s. She is dealing with the loss of her son who died in Vietnam. And into this mix, you also have a bunch of other kids who together are stuck at school over the Christmas holidays. So it's actually a Christmas movie. And a bunch of the kids get rescued to go on a ski vacation. This one kid gets left behind because his parents can't be found. And so the three of them basically are stuck together in this empty school over the holidays. And it sounds depressing, but it actually is a really good, I may put this forward this year for the holiday season because it is a really great holiday movie. A lot of fun, fantastic soundtrack. Paul Giamatti was basically born for this role. And I believe Davine Joy Randolph did win the Oscar for supporting actress, and fantastic job as well. So it's a good one, and again, a shockingly uplifting Alexander Payne film. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see here. The next one up on here is there.
I don't think I said David Hemmingson is our nominee for that screenplay. Sorry.
So Evan Jacobs up for a screenplay original for Care Killer, which was a 53-minute film, so just edged beyond the short film category. And this is about a man that is kind of like in an adult home, and he ends up killing his caregiver and going on a little jaunt around the neighborhood. before trying to eat the remains. Very well acted. A very good film overall. I love the plot of it. I love how it's together. A very fun watch for Evan Jacobs, and also easily available on his streaming site, Anhedenia Filmz, on Vimeo. I don't think you watched that one yet.
I have seen it, and I will give Mr. Jacobs points for creativity.
And I'll go ahead and hit this next one since
I have not seen this one.
And then we'll kind of split the last two. Okay. I'll let you figure out which one you want to cover. I guess you can cover. Well, I'll cover the next.
You nominated the fifth one, and I nominated the sixth one, but I could be remembering that wrong.
So why don't we do it that way then?
Okay.
So Supercell, pretty simple premise. It's about storm chasers and about a kid of a storm chaser who decides he wants to follow in his father's footsteps. This has some interesting stuff about it. I believe that I nominated, well, of course, I nominated as a screenplay, so Herbert James Winterstern and Anne Elizabeth James. And I'm surprised this one made it up there, but apparently I was definitely grasping for those original features. I did like this one a lot, but for other reasons. This is probably my weakest nominee on this one. But definitely I was running out of things that most of my favorites of the year were adapted.
Which tends to be the case. It's a lot harder to come up with good original screenplays, I guess.
So I'll go ahead and I'll just talk briefly here. We don't need to select it. We're going to be very quick in our coverage of ones that we've already talked about. Elemental is the next one for John Hoberg, Kat Likel, and Brenda Harsha.
I think that's Shue. Maybe.
But, very good film. Again, we've talked about it earlier. Deserving of the nominees.
Yep. And the last one, we mentioned Mr. Wes Anderson before. His big feature of the film was Asteroid City. His big feature of the year was Asteroid City. And I have to admit that I was slightly underwhelmed. I felt like all the Wes Anderson films I saw this year were even more dry and artificial than any film he's ever done before. But those who love that about Wes Anderson had a lot to love in these films. I like it a lot, but I'm not one of his, fanboys. But Asteroid City was a very original screenplay. It was very well written. I did enjoy it a lot, and I definitely think it deserves a shout out. Yeah. So did you want to do the recap or?
Yeah, sure. We've got ourselves there we go. Celine Song for Past Lives, David Hemmingson for The Holdovers, Evan Jacobs for Care Killer, Herbert James Winterstern and Anne Elizabeth James for Supercell, John Hoberg, Kat Likel, and Brenda Hush for Elemental, and Wes Anderson for Asteroid City.
Okay. And a shout out to Justine Trier and Arthur Harari, whose screenplay Anatomy of a Fall almost made the cut. Okay.
And I'll let you start us off, because I think I've read off best original screen, so you guys are best adapted you can read off.
So, adapted screenplay. Of course, our first pick is Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach for Barbie. And I commented before on what a weird ass pairing that was to write a Barbie film. And it's one of the few films that they've actually written as a couple, which is kind of interesting. But extraordinarily well written film. And we've already said a lot, so I'll just leave it at that. But yeah.
And that's all we're going to say about that.
Right.
Even though I haven't seen the film, I figure it's easy enough for me to go ahead and say, announce this one because I'm not having to explain it. which is Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Dave Callahan for Spider-Man Across the Universe. I'm pretty sure most of you know who's behind that or what that's adapted from. And if you don't, then I gotta wonder about you.
I've actually read the Spider-Gwen comics that they adapted into the early part of the movie, and it was a phenomenal adaptation of the Spider-Gwen backstory. Just absolutely.
All right. I figure you can read the other one off because, again,
Well, Steve Rudzinski is nominated for Shingles the movie. My understanding is that this is based on a series of like web shorts or something, or
yes,
you know more about the background than I would, but it's an adaptation of a bunch of stories kind of thrown together.
I know that it has some loose basing on some things that others have written, so it's very possible. So the next up on here, we have Takashi Yamazaki for Godzilla -1. I actually, I think that's kind of cool that that's in there. Of course, it's good. I think that was a last-minute ad for me as well, I believe. But
I don't actually think you were the one that got that in there. I think that was our other contributor.
Because he also went last minute for that one and did some changes. So yeah, that's kind of cool, I guess, in and of itself. So yeah, that being said,
adapted, of course, from roughly 50 years of Godzilla films.
Yeah, I think we all know. I don't know what's Godzilla. Well, what's that? I've never heard of that. So, okay, go ahead.
Next up, Tony McNamara for Poor Things, which is adapted from a novel. And again, very, very, very well written. If you don't know it's an adaptation, it would strike you as one of the most singularly original screenplays you've ever seen. But as an adaptation, it's still pretty solid.
And then, of course, Tracy Oliver and Dwayne Perkins from The Blackening. And yes, the short is hilarious. Go watch it. It's on YouTube.
Am I remembering correctly that Dwayne Perkins was the one who directed the original short?
Yes, and it was liked so much they made it into a film.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Okay.
Get going on that. Go ahead and recap us.
All right. We got Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach for Barbie, Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Dave Callahan for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Steve Rudzinski for Shingles the Movie, Takashi Yamazaki for Godzilla -1, Tony McNamara for Poor Things, and Tracy Oliver and Dwayne Perkins for The Blackening.
So we're going to have to rush things by a little bit quicker, so we're both going to need to be a little bit more brief in our explanations because we got less than an hour before we have to be on for our discussion on Barefoot Again and Inside Movies Galore. So if you're watching it on this channel, it'll be a rush over, so, you know.
Although it's that category illustrated, once we get to most of the films we've already hit, it's going to be
moving quicker, yeah. But we need to be a little bit more briefer. So best documentary feature, start us off.
Okay, the first one we have is a very hard film to watch, which won the Oscar, which is 20 Days in Mariupol. And it is a film by a news filmmaker, a reporter basically based out of Ukraine that pretty much documents the first 20 days of the Russian invasion of Mariupol. It's a hard film to watch. Most films that have a lot of war footage are, but it's very well made. And the director, when he took the stage at the Oscars, he claimed it as the first national win ever for Ukraine. But he also said, I really wish that this is a film that never got made. And so it was definitely one of the highlights, you might say, of the telecast. But definitely the kind of film you expect to pick up a lot of Oscars, to be honest. But worth a watch, though. Yeah.
Let's see here. So the next one is a disturbance in the force. Did you nominate this one, or
It was not me. No.
because I don't remember nominating it
No,
myself?
this was our other contributor. Yes.
Okay, so we're just going to read this and we'll move on. In 1978, filmmaker George Lucas is persuaded to turn over Star Wars to the world of the 70s variety hour, culminating in the Star Wars Holiday Special, often cited as one of the worst films in entertainment. Admittedly, that would be a fun one to watch.
It does look fun. I want to see it.
Now, this one I did see, and I did nominate.
I need to see this one.
So, FPS, first-person shooter by the makers of In Search of Darkness and In Search of Tomorrow, which are winners. So far, these people have been winning many of these categories. But this goes through a detailed history of the first-person shooter from its humble beginnings to Doom to where we are today. It's a pretty cool one. I love the format of this series. And this one's only 275 minutes. This is short compared to the others. But still quite...
Only.
more difficult to watch than some of the others, probably. But still, well worth it if you get a chance. Creator VC does a good job with these documentaries. And I definitely really enjoyed it.
Good deal.
All right. I think this one is yours.
Yeah, it's a much shorter film. The next one is La Memoria Infinita, The Eternal Memory. It is a very poignant and moving, but also kind of hard film to watch. It's a Chilean film about a couple. The guy is a journalist and the woman is an actress, and they've been together for 20-some years. And he is suffering from Alzheimer's, and the film documents their journey through his disease, his last few years. And like I said, it's kind of a hard watch, but it is much more uplifting than I would have expected. And it's a really good film, phenomenal music, and just easily one of the top docs of the year, I think.
Now, I want to say this. The next one is, I think, the only other one of mine that got in there.
Yeah.
Which is Sean's senior year. I don't need to talk about it any more than I did. It deserves to be there. Glad it got a placement on there.
I think I actually nominated it too, but mostly because I had so few in this category. Yeah, I'm ashamed to do it. But anyway. And then, the last one was one I wanted to see. I still want to see it.
It looks interesting. I mean, an intimate portrait of... Actually, you can read it. Go ahead.
You Can Call Me Bill. It's basically a documentary about William Shatner.
So I think it's interesting. I'm glad to see it up there. But I didn't nominate, neither did Jake, and I don't think either of us seen it, so I will leave it at that.
All right.
For our best documentary feature, we have 20 Days in Mariupol, A Disturbance in the Force, FPS, first-person shooter, La Memoria Infinita, Sean's senior year, and You Can Call Me Bill.
All right.
Take us out to the short subject.
Okay. Well, I did see this first one, so I guess you want me to kick it off?
I think I also nominated it, but I can't remember.
I think maybe. I know you nominated the second 2 and 3.
You go ahead.
Yeah. So the first one is called The ABCs of Book Banning. And it is a film that is very interesting and unfortunately very timely, where they talk about books that are being banned, challenged, and otherwise people are attempting to remove them from libraries around the country. It kind of focuses on Florida. For reasons. But it takes an interesting approach. They do talk to some different authors. They talk to, they start and end the film with like 101-year-old woman whose husband fought and died in World War II, if I'm remembering correctly. And she basically takes them to task for daring to, spit in his memory, basically. But most of the film focuses on the out of the mouths of babes, as they say. It's the actual kids whose libraries are losing books talking about some of the books that are being challenged. And it's a really interesting doc. I thought it was a really interesting approach, and I was rather impressed by it.
And on Paramount Plus, so not too terribly hard to get.
Right.
So The Barber of Little Rock is about an African-American barber founding a non-profit community bank dedicated to providing economic opportunities for the community that mainstream banks will not offer. This talks about a lot of those racist tactics. And hello, Mike McNally. Hopefully you'll get to celebrate some of these wonderful awards nominees. But a lot of this, like redlining, stuff like that, it's a lot of subjects that need to be talked about. I think this one was a YouTube one. It was nominated for an Oscar, so it's one that if you haven't seen it, then I'm sure you that you would see it just for that reason.
Oh, no, I definitely saw this one. It was a good one.
Let's see here.
Actually, I believe this one had a perfect score. It was one of the only, I think it was the one that we both picked for the top.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think you're the one who did this one.
I have not seen the third one. I have never seen it.
Oh, I did. I was the one who nominated.
That was you.
Never mind. Oh, I know why. It wasn't nominated for an Oscar.
That's not the only reason.
I think I saw this one on YouTube as well. But it's about a bunch of fathers of trans children. Where they go on a fishing trip where they kind of find common ground, which they each have different backgrounds. So it's very interesting to see that. A very poignant and well done film. I was very well happy with that.
Good times.
And
the next one I did see.
Okay.
All right. Well, and this is a movie. It's called Deciding Vote. And it's about a vote that took place in the New York General Assembly on the question of whether or not to legalize abortion. And it almost failed until a politician decided that I cannot face my family without thanks, Mike. He's like, I cannot face my family if I vote no on this bill. And he changed his vote at the last minute. So the documentary talks about how this one person throwing his career away on principle basically changed the entire course of the discussion for many years to come on the abortion topic. And it's a fascinating doc. I'd never heard about this particular event. So I thought it was very interesting. And I thought it was nice to see that occasionally there have been politicians that had principles and stuck with them.
Now, where did we find this one? Where did you find it?
I can't remember if it was on YouTube or Netflix, but I feel like it was one of the two.
All right, let's see. Echo.
I do know that I could not find this one on IMDb when I tried to look it up. I had no idea what I was looking for.
That's not it.
No.
Ah, gosh. Echo. Was that one I nominated?
That's one you nominated. I have never heard of it.
Well, I apparently found it on YouTube and really liked it at the time. I watched it, which was probably a year ago. So I need to look and see. Echo. I must have really liked it for it to have made the cut.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
So, though, let's see, Echo short film. Okay, let's see here. I know it's not that one because that was debuted 2 months ago. Let's see here. Last Man. Well, it was a documentary short of some sort that I nominated, probably found on, I would be willing to bet on that New Yorker page.
Yeah. They have a lot of good stuff.
So it's very possible that that's where I found it from. If I had more time to look it up, I would.
Any recollection on the topic or anything?
I keep looking to see if it's on here. I wonder. No, it's a Malaysian short film. There we go. Oh, yes, there it is. 6 months ago. Basically, it's about a blind teacher that takes their students to a cave with the help of understanding echolocation. He's got this new technique that he uses in echolocation to better find himself around using different clicks and so on. And he shows a lot of that principle and how it works by showing it in this cave. And a lot of the students of his are able to navigate the world even better than most people who are dealing with this. So there you go.
Good times.
I figured it out.
All right. The last one needs no trouble figuring it out because it was, I think, the film that won the Oscar, and it also is on Netflix. So,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, The Last Repair Shop, which is a documentary about the Los Angeles, I believe, school system, where they actually have a system in place for students to be set up with instruments free of charge for their music classes. Fascinating that any school system should have this in place, even though it seems like it would be something that would be a no-brainer for most areas of the country. But people don't appreciate these programs the way they should. But it's a really, really good doc. They alternate between talking with 4 different people, one of whom basically does stringed instruments, one does woodwinds, one does brass, one does piano. I think I'm remembering that breakdown correctly. And then basically, one of them apparently is a professional musician. One of them is a Mexican immigrant. One of them is a Armenian immigrant. One of them is gay. So they talk about their own life experiences, and it's interspersed with kids who talk about the being able to have these instruments and all that kind of stuff. And it's a fun doc. It's a really nice doc. Good, mostly an uplifting one. Pretty good. And again, on Netflix, so it's easy to find. Yeah.
Oh, right.
And so, to recap, best documentary short subject: The ABCs of Book Banning, The Barber of Little Rock, The Dads, Deciding Vote, Echo, and The Last Repair Shop.
Well, at least I now know why I liked Echo so much.
There you go.
So the next one is best low budget feature.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we don't hit any, I think there's only one on here that you haven't seen. No, 2 on here that you haven't seen.
Yes.
But seeing as we've covered one of those before, I'll have you lead us off.
Okay.
Because that way I think you'll have seen pretty much every single one of these ones that you would talk about.
I think so, yes. So we're leading off with Amityville Apocalypse, a anthology film with nominally 20 shorts, although whether I would count all of them as short films, some of them are more like eye catches than anything. But for the most part, they're interesting. Our own SeptumSin directed 2 of them, and of course, I feature in 1. Yay!
There's your name on the thing right there.
Yes, there you go. But it's a hodgepodge, as most anthologies are. Some of them were much better than others, but overall, it was an entertaining little bunch of films.
Ooh, I'm in a rated IMDb film. 5.8.
What? How much?
5.8.
Oh, very good.
Actually, only a little under Blackening.
Wow.
But yeah, it was kind of fun. I directed 2 shorts, and it was kind of fun to have them both featured in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best in the world, but still fun, you know.
Yeah. And our friend of the channel, Evan Jacobs, he also had a short nominated. Another friend of the channel, Kyle Rappaport, featured in one of them. You know, so there was some good stuff.
So, another Steve Rudzinski film out that year. One doesn't get quite as much love as Shingles, but Carousel Part 3. It ends the trilogy. Duke has to face off against the pizza guy who has come back from the first one, as well as another enchanted object and a war to end all wars. I love the Carousel series. It's an impressive series. My favorite is the first one, but the first one is closer to a horror comedy in the horror aspect than the comedy aspect. But the other 2 just go off the rails. Well worth seeing. Very fun. Kind of glad to see that the Carousel series is getting some love here, because it is a great series. If you haven't, Silver Spotlight's there. I believe that it's also on Tubi. Well worth checking out.
Good times. All right. And to bring things back around once again
there's a 6th one coming out. The Day of the Dead.
So to bring things back around once again to Mr. Jacobs, we had another long-running series. We have Death Toilet 5, Invasion of the Potty Snatchers. And from humble beginnings, and let's face it, the first 2 Death Toilet films are very much humble beginnings. This series has gradually gotten more and more unhinged, and in a good way. and I have to admit, the last 2 have been pretty hilarious. And this was the most purely enjoyable film in this category for me this year.
It felt like a Batman 60s.
And then, of course, we had Evan himself dressed up as Potty Mouth, the main antagonist, along with his cheerfully obsequious right hand Stink Eye. And we still have our main characters from before. Was it Mark Baxter, I think, was the one, and Father Dingleberry?
Yeah, Mike Hartsfield, who also plays not just Brett Baxter, he also plays Stink Eye and Detective Howie Wipes.
Yeah. And of course, we had and Isaac Golub is Dingleberry, the late Isaac Golub. It was a fun movie. It was absolutely stupid, fun humor, not high art by any means, but good times.
So, the last of the new ones to this list, Mansplained, which I also have a small part in, and so does Jake.
Very small.
About this woman that keeps getting pestered by the men in her life and eventually snaps. You spend a lot of the movie waiting for her to snap. And it does happen, but it takes some time. And I thought this one was okay, but I felt it was very slow.
It was but
but
It was
not too
interesting.
bad. Yeah. In fact, I think you were the one who nominated this one here.
Well, in fairness, you
You
have
didn't see any of them, yeah.
far more of these films to choose from than I do.
All right. And
And then, as we mentioned before, Sean's senior year. So we had quite the run of Evan Jacobs films there. So he could clean up this year.
in theory there, yeah. And then, of course, Shingles the movie with Steve
Yep.
Rudzinski. Steve Rudzinski and Evan Jacobs featured in on this list twice.
Hmm.
Technically 3 times if you count Evan Jacobs' role in Amityville Apocalypse.
Hmm.
Very proud there.
Hmm.
So, best low-budget feature, Amityville Apocalypse, Carousel 3, Death Toilet 5, Invasion of the Potty Snatchers, Mansplained, Sean's Senior Year, and Shingles, the movie.
Hmm.
Did you see the first one for the next category? Or should I start off the category?
I have not seen it. I had no desire to see it, but now I'm going to have to.
It was worth it just to do that.
Damn it.
All right. So go ahead and announce the category, though, and I'll get to
Okay, Best Supporting Actress.
So the first is Alyssa Sutherland for Evil Dead Rise, and she did a really good job with this one. This one is basically Evil Dead taking place in a high-rise. I want to say that this one does have a loose connection to the Evil Dead remake. I know that the one that's coming up is fully connected to the Evil Dead remake. And, that these kids, they find this hidden kind of temple thing located underneath their apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
And end up having a bit of a struggle when they read when they have this evil record, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I am very curious about those.
Right.
But it was a good one. I was surprised at how much I did like it. I'm kind of an iffy on a lot of the Evil Dead stuff, but I thought they did an amazing job with this one.
Okay.
So that is there. Hey, your next one will be one that we can go very quickly by.
Okay, yes. I've already talked a little bit about Devon Joy Randolph from The Holdovers. Like I said, she plays the school cook, grieving the loss of her son, and she did a phenomenal job. She won the Oscar, if I remember correctly. Just absolutely phenomenal performance, and yeah.
And then you go ahead and do the next one because I've never seen it.
And this one may be controversial to some people because she was up for an Oscar for actress, and it's not an exact science deciding what category people should go in. Killers of the Flower Moon is a long-ass movie, and I would say Leonardo DiCaprio is by far the lead in the film. I would say that Lily Gladstone and Robert De Niro had almost equal screen time. At least it seemed that way. So her being up for actress and De Niro being up for supporting actor was kind of bullshit. So I put them both in the supporting category. That may be controversial. But regardless, Lily Gladstone nominated for playing an Osage woman who ends up marrying DiCaprio's character. He and she find themselves both pawns of De Niro's rich landowner character. Basically, for those who are unfamiliar with it, Killers of the Flower Moon is based on a nonfiction book that talks about the Osage killings, where a large number of indigenous people who were becoming filthy rich over oil rights were being systematically cheated and murdered for that money and those rights by people like the character De Niro plays. And it's a Martin Scorsese film, really well made. It didn't score nearly as well with us as it did with Oscar, partly because I'm probably the only one that bothered watching it. It's a long movie. But it's really good, and I really think Lily Gladstone deserved the praise. I just think she was in the wrong category at the Oscars.
All right. Well,
yeah.
I'm going to go through this quick and move on to the next one for you.
Okay.
Paul Clementif, of course, Mantis, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. She plays the character in a fun way.
Yeah.
And she did very good this time around, too. So I can't really discredit it.
The performances of the whole cast were solid. The movie put you in the feels more than any other in the trilogy. And yeah, it was nice to see one of them up. And the next one is a film that got a lot of praise. And a lot of people thought it was a major snub at the Oscars. And it's the adaptation of the famed Judy Blume book, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And our nomination is for Rachel McAdams, who plays Margaret's mother.
I think it's the only nomination this movie got.
I think it might be up for... Well, yeah, there were a lot where it was close. But Rachel McAdams plays her mother, and she just did a phenomenal job. She was the very definition of a supporting character. And I thought she knocked it right out of the park. So I was really happy to see her get in on the final cut.
All right. Well, and then last but not least, Vicky Pepperdine for Poor Things.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent job there.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing acting. Poor Things had amazing acting all the way around, as we'll note in the next category.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one that you read off, wasn't it? Yes, it was.
Okay, so to recap, Best Supporting Actress, Alyssa Sutherland for Evil Dead Rise, Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Pom Klementieff for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Rachel McAdams for Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, and Vicky Pepperdine for Poor Things.
Yeah, past lives in that. Okay, so we'll go on with Best Actress. I'm going to start us off because I think at least the next two are definitely yours.
Okay.
So
Well, one of them is.
Emma Stone for Poor Things. That was a great acting job, maybe one of the best in her career.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very illustrious career indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So very much a good job.
And I think this was the only unanimous number one that more than two of us nominated.
No, all three, all of us, the vast academy, saw this one. So yes,
Yes.
hard performance to ignore. I've got the other one up here for you.
Okay.
Because I know you nominated this one.
Yes, I did. Greta Lee is the lead, the female lead in Past Lives. The acting was solid across the board, but her performance was a lot more understated than Emma Stone's. Emma Stone had to go all in. Greta Lee was much more restrained in her performance, but it was still a really, really good performance. And like I said, I was glad to see it get in there. So,
love story.
The next one I have not seen. It was one of our contributors who got this one in.
Leave the world behind. I'm just going to read it here.
Right.
Families get away to a luxurious rental home takes on an ominous turn when a cyber attack knocks out their devices and the two strangers appear at the door. And this is for Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix horror film with Julia Roberts at the helm.
Good times.
All right. And I'll go ahead and grab this one. Lily Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go there. Lily Sullivan for Evil Dead Rise. Really good performance. I thought that, pretty much all the performances were quite good, but she really knocked it out of the park, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I say, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But one who did knock it out of the park, Margot Robbie, is also, like Emma Stone, she is one of the great working actresses out there today. And she had to play the part of Barbie. And so many people thought that she got snubbed for an Oscar nomination. And I agree, she got snubbed in that one. She was a phenomenal... The movie wouldn't have been the same without her. She just nailed the role. So,
well, Scream 6 enters the fray with
Nice.
Melissa Barrera getting nominee for Best Actress.
Mhm.
And I thought that she did do a good job playing Sam Carpenter. This one was actually a pretty good. These last two were not bad. I didn't mind 5 and 6.
I liked it.
4 I thought was a slight downhill grade, but it wasn't much worse than 3. But still, I'm not sure whether it gets to the heights of the first one, but it's definitely as good as any of the sequels.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we need to really talk about these. They're pretty much the same. It's just they try to adapt it a little bit more with the times, a little bit more cyber and all that stuff.
Well, each one kind of attacks a different type of horror film.
Yeah.
And they're all slashers, but they attack like different types. In this one, attacked ongoing series. Basically, it was sort of like a franchise film that was meant to poke fun at franchises, essentially.
All right, and go ahead and run them down. Where were we?
Okay. No, I think you're doing the rundown for this.
I thought it was you because you said it, and then I said the first one because of Evil Dead Rise.
I did the rundown for supporting actress, but I wouldn't mind doing it. I mean, it's up to you.
Well, Emma Stone, Greta Lee. Emma Stone for Poor Things, Greta Lee for Past Lives, Julia Roberts for Leave the World Behind, Lily Sullivan for Evil Dead Rise, Margot Robbie for Barbie, and Melissa Barrera for Scream 6. All right. And
let's do a shout out for Carey Mulligan, who almost made the cut for Maestro.
Actually, with this one, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I probably should start us off for this one because the one I have not seen reference to, it will allow you to grab that one. I think you've seen all the ones otherwise. So what's the name?
All of these, yeah. Oh, you're going.
You'll still be announcing the category because I announced the last.
Oh, best supporting actor.
All right, so I will start us off on that with Jermaine Fowler for The Blackening. Did a pretty good job. Matter of fact, it was a great ensemble cast, so there's a lot of supporting actors in this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Mark Ruffalo playing a scheming cad in Poor Things.
Yes, indeed. Then Melvin Gregg, also The Blackening.
Okay. New movie here.
All right.
The well-known actor Nicolas Cage has been around for some time. He declared years ago that there were 3 roles he really wanted to play. He has now played Superman in various animated films, and he finally had a live-action cameo in The Flash. He has not yet played Sherlock Holmes, but this year he finally got his wish to play Dracula. He played Dracula in Renfield, a film that focuses on Nicholas Holt's long-suffering Dracula vassal, Renfield. It's set in modern times in the midst of a gang war, basically, where Dracula ends up waking up and Renfield is desperately trying to keep his master. He's grown weary. Let's just put it that way. He's actually in a self-help group for toxic relationships. And I kind of wish the movie had done more with that. It didn't really go as deep, as incisive as it could have. Overall, Renfield wasn't as great as it could have been, but it was a fun, enjoyable film. And Nicolas Cage gave it his all as Dracula. He just had a blast. And you can tell that he was so happy.
All right. So our next is going to be, there we go, Willem Dafoe for Poor Things. That was one that he had votes for both, but it was decided that he is a supporting actor, but not an actor. He doesn't have the ability to be an actor, just a supporting actor.
Interesting phrasing there. Okay. All right, on to me.
Yep.
Okay, and again, Defoe was phenomenal. Poor things. But anyway, so the one that I believe ended up winning the Oscar, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. He played the congressman who basically was trying to, well, or wait, was he? Was he actually? Yeah, he was a congressman, right?
Yeah.
I remembered he had a scientific background or like an administrative background or something. Basically, he was on Oppenheimer's team early on, but when it came time for Oppenheimer to answer, he was leading the charge against him, basically.
Right.
And he did a great job. He really did.
So, go ahead and read them. Beautiful beam footage.
For Best Supporting Actor, we have Jermaine Fowler, The Blackening, Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things, Melvin Gregg for The Blackening, Nicolas Cage for Renfield, Willem Dafoe for Poor Things, and Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. And shout out to Rami Youssef, who almost got the nod for Poor Things. Again, that cast was just stacked top to bottom with talent.
So, Best Actor is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Go ahead and start off with Chris Lohman for Care Killer. He really did a good job acting like kind of that special needs individual that kind of just turns on it. Now, oddly enough, for somebody who's worked in that kind of environment before and has seen not quite something that gruesome, but I have seen attacks before like that. It can come out of nowhere. So it is kind of a cool reflection and pretty good acting job for that part.
Okay.
All right.
Cillian Murphy for playing Oppenheimer in Oppenheimer. Probably his most solid leading role yet, and which puts it high in the running for his most solid roles yet. And I believe he won the Oscar, didn't he? I feel like he did.
I think so, or at least he was up for it, if anything.
Oh, he was up for it, yeah.
Isaac Galub for Amityville Death Toilet. He played different roles in those movies. And I want to say he played the main character. Well, he did because Best Actor.
Yeah.
He played the main character in this one, and it's good to give him a shout. He was. Oh, you know what? I don't. That's a new one. Darn it.
Yeah.
Amityville Death. There we go. So Amityville Death Toilet is about this guy who's a paranormal investigator who goes to a haunted house and finds that it is a haunted death toilet. It is only loosely connected to this series at large, but it is still kind of a fun one. I'm glad to see that it's got
Mayor Dump in one of the others.
I feel like he was in one of the others, but definitely in this one. All right.
Yeah. That was an interesting one.
I'm kind of glad you're on this one because I haven't seen this one.
And he played a YouTube ghost hunter with lower viewership than you have, apparently. But yeah, so the next one, it's not an exact science. I would have considered this a supporting role, but one of our friends of the channel really, really loved this role and put him up for actor. Dave Bautista for Knock at the Cabin. We already talked a little bit about the movie and his role in it, but I will agree it's a really good performance. I'm not so sure it should have been a lead nomination, but there you are.
Well, we went ahead and struck one off of the hedge,
right?
So we'll keep the other end to be nice.
Right.
And I'll let you go for the next one because I haven't seen that one either.
The next one, indisputably, was a lead role. Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers. Again, we've already talked a little bit about this. It's just a great performance, a great reteaming of Payne and Giamatti after Sideways, and I think they've done another movie together. It's a good, solid role.
And then last but not least, Ryan Gosling for Barbie. I know that he could be considered a supporting actor, but I still feel like he did do enough to rank as actor. I mean,
in terms of screen time, he might as well be a lead, but in terms of the plot, he's literally a supporting player.
But in a way, that's kind of puts him in the lead as a supporting.
Exactly.
It's a weird way of looking at it.
Yeah,
but I do feel like he deserves that nod there.
Oh, he was great in the role.
So, Best Actor, Chris Lohman for Care Killer, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, Isaac Galub for Amityville Death Toilet, Dave Bautista for Knock at the Cabin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, and Ryan Gosling for Barbie.
You're going to need to fix the order on Dave Bautista Knock at the Cabin before we get the official things sent out to people.
That was last minute.
All right. Best voice actor. This is going to be fun.
All right. Actually, I'll start us off because you're the only one who's seen the second one.
Okay.
Bradley Cooper for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I believe he played Rocket Raccoon. And, I mean, you got to give him his due for this one. He did a great job. Mm-hmm. And he had to go through a lot more with this character than he has for the previous two movies. So I'll give him that. That was a good job for that character.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And
watching it again the other night, I was reminded how brief his actual performance is relative to the film. But again, yeah, he really had to bring his A game, and he did.
I have seen this, but you actually have something positive to say, so I'll leave it to that.
So Disney's The Little Mermaid gets a nod for Daveed Diggs, who plays Sebastian. And I got to say, Sebastian is one of the highlights of the film. I mean, he was in the original, too. Under the Sea is still a classic, and it wasn't as good as the original, but same thing with Kiss the Girl. You know, I did like how they changed a few of the more problematic lyrics of Kiss the Girl, but otherwise, the movie had pluses and minuses. It's not something that necessarily needed to exist, but I think they did better with it than they might have. But I really enjoyed Diggs' performance in the role, and so, yeah, he's worth a nod.
As a whole, do you feel that this one was a superior film to the original?
Oh, hell no.
This was our first roll for this one up.
As a whole, the original was better, but in terms of the recent spate of Disney live-action remakes, I'd put it middle to slightly higher.
If it was Best Voice Actress, I would go with the Little Mermaid herself. But
Halle Bailey, she has a great voice.
Unfortunately, I did not feel like her acting landed her best actress. But still, you know.
Yeah.
So next is Jack Black for Super Mario Brothers the movie, playing Bowser. I mean, he's up twice actually for his portrayal of Bowser here. Yeah. And this is the first time for this movie. Oh yeah, Super Mario, which is an adaptation, of course, of the Super Mario Brothers game series. It's a very fun one. It's a lot more like the video game than any of the other stuff beforehand.
Oh, hell yeah.
Excellent film all the way around. I really enjoyed it. It was a great animated feature, and it's just not the last time we'll see it.
It's almost the polar opposite of the original Mario Brothers film in terms of its relationship to the games. Pure nostalgia trip. And yes, he was great as Bowser. Next up, we have Mamoudou Athie for Elemental. Again, he plays Wade, the water elemental, who's the main character, one of the two main characters in the film. I thought he did a really solid acting role. I thought the voice acting generally in the film was really solid. And he did a good job playing off of Leah Lewis as well as the supporting cast.
So the next is actually we will switch it around.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I jumped ahead on that. Well, anyway, yes, because you haven't seen this one yet. So Shameik Moore reprising his role as Miles Morales in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We've already talked a little bit about the film, but I will say this movie did get into some very deep emotional stuff, and all the voice acting was great. But definitely Moore was one of the stronger stronger elements. I also nominated Jason Schwartzman because he amused me so much. But the voice acting overall, the whole film was phenomenal.
And of course, finally, Steve from Peachy was for Carousel 3, who plays Duke. He's great in the role. He lends it to a slight. It kind of his voice acting allows it to be taken seriously, but also gives you the feel that yes, this is a horror comedy, not just straight horror. And I do love that element to the voice. So great job. Glad that we got Duke in there.
All right. So to recap, best voice actor, we got Bradley Cooper for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Daveed Diggs for The Little Mermaid, Jack Black for the Super Mario Brothers movie, Mamoudou Athie for Elemental, Shameik Moore for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Steve Rimpeachy for Carousel 3, and a shout out to Riz Ahmed, who almost got a nod for Nimona.
So for the next one, best voice actress, I'll have Jake start us off because that'll allow him to be at number 3, which I have not seen yet.
Okay, that works. So for voice actress, we start off with Anya Taylor-Joy for playing Princess Peach in the Super Mario Brothers movie. And she does a great job.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that one. So the next one is one that we have not had.
I love this movie.
Which is Nimona, which has a lot of LGBTQ ties and a lot of things like that go with it.
I'm surprised with its punk vibe, you didn't get into it more than you did. But yeah,
I liked the film. It was good.
Yeah,
I had other things going at the time, but it was a good film. And Chloe Grace Moritz, of course, playing Nimona, does an excellent job with it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have been surprised if I didn't nominate her in that role, at least.
You did.
So, that was there. I've got the Disney Sember Nimona. But any case, again, great role, great movie about this shapeshifter and this disgraced knight. And trying to find this kind of revenge plot and the understanding of humanity's connection to the natural world. This one almost was a Disney film, but Disney thought it was too LGBTQ friendly for them, which is kind of funny considering some of the films that they've done, Strange World and all that stuff. But
this one's based on an independent comic, isn't it?
It is, and again, I'm glad that Netflix took a chance and got her done. It was good.
Good times.
All
right. And as mentioned before, Haley Steinfeld reprised her role as Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I had thought Chloe Grace Moritz had by far my favorite vocal female performance of the year until I saw Across the Spider-Verse, and the two of them both kicked so much ass, literally, in both of those roles. So I absolutely, Gwen Stacy to me is the best thing in the Spider-Verse movies, and she's one of the best things in comics. And Haley Steinfeld is, like Chloe Moritz, they are two of the best young actresses out there. I just can't wait to see more from both of them going forward, voice acting and live action.
So the next couple are actually from the same movie.
Yeah, you might hit them both at once.
Which is the first animated film I saw of 2023. I saw it on my birthday in the theaters, oddly enough, because it was the only thing playing at the time at the right time slot, which is Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, which is an okay film about this girl who is also a Kraken and discovering that she's more powerful than she ever dreamed of. And it was okay a lot of ways. Jane Fonda plays her grandmother, which is the queen. Spoilers. And does an amazing job with it. I actually really liked her as it. And, of course, Lana Condor plays Ruby. And she does a decent job also playing the awkward teenage girl.
Yeah, I really like the film. I'm kind of surprised the way you downplay it so much that you nominated it as much as you did.
It's because it was the first.
But it's a good one, and I did enjoy it. I believe Fonda was my nomination, and Condor actually might have been both of us on that in that case. But anyway, and then the last one we've already mentioned Leah Lewis, the female lead for Elemental. She plays the fire elemental, and she just did a great job. She really did. So yeah.
And because we're down to 15 minutes, because we are starting 15 minutes late now, we're going to be very quick now. Best cameo bit player. I'll start us off, and we'll just go back and forth real quick, and very small asides if needed. Bill Murray, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Okay film, but fun cameo.
Indeed. Charles Martinet in the Super Mario Brothers movie. I believe he plays Mario and Luigi's father, right?
Yes, and he was the original voice of Mario, so...
Oh, okay. That's
why it's such a cool cameo.
But oh man, I should have let you do that one though, because I know you haven't done the next two.
All right, go ahead for the next. Well,
So
I've seen one of the two. But
Colin Firth has a brief role in Rye Lane as the proprietor of a shop called Love Guactually. I think most of you will get the reference.
Yeah.
I found it very amusing, and he's always fun.
And go ahead the next one while you're there.
And then George Clooney is one of many, many, many brief cameos in The Flash. Of the brief cameos, I thought it was by far the most hilarious.
Very brief. Kyle Rappaport for Cocaine Shark, which also was called Narco Shark originally. And Cocaine Shark is about a drug that's derived from sharks that makes people go crazy and such. And Kyle plays one of the people who gets offed early on in the film. All right. And then finally, of course, one that it's debatable whether I would consider him a bit player almost, because it's more of a bit player than a cameo, which is Michael Keaton and the Flash, because he reprises his role and definitely takes a pretty decent sized chunk of the later movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
but he's only in the very later part of the film. That's why I didn't figure it was full supporting. But yeah.
Well, let's move on. Okay. I'll let you start us off for Best Director.
Okay, so for Best Director, we have Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer.
And then Evan Jacobs and Sean Miller for Sean's senior year.
All right, Greta Gerwig for Barbie.
M. Night Shyamalan for Knock at the Cabin.
I heard you grunt there. Steve Radzinski for Shingles the Movie.
And then Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things.
And a shout out to James Gunn, who almost got it for Guardians 3.
All right, so best stunt work. I'll start us off because I'm actually probably the only one who saw Blue Beetle.
I saw it. It was a lot of fun.
It was a fun movie, though. It was a fun movie. Blue Beetle for best stunt work, then?
Evil Dead Rise.
Ferrari, which I think must have been your nominee.
I think I can comment on the next two, next three, actually. I don't know if you saw any of them.
Nope, I haven't seen any of them except for the last one. I saw the last one.
Ferrari is about the history of Enzo Ferrari and his company, and there's a lot of driving in it, so a lot of stunt work. The John Wick series is famous for its stunt work, and so is the Mission Impossible series. John Wick Chapter 4, phenomenal closing chapter. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, good. First part of a closing chapter, supposedly.
And Tom Cruise still does a lot of his own stunts and gets injured because of it. Shazam, Fury of the Gods, also a pretty good movie, pretty well done. I think better than a lot of people gave it credit for.
Yeah, have not yet seen that one. I'd like to.
Best visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
I swear, for one that was underwhelming, I had nominated Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania a lot. But
you did. I was wondering about that.
The other one I think we both nominated.
The Creator had phenomenal effects. That one is got a world where people are like there's all these cybernetics.
Yeah,
And I'm not really going to go into all the details, but it was a really good movie and great effect.
All right. Then we've got Evil Dead Rise.
Okay.
With great gore effects.
Lovely.
Things like that. Yeah. Very good visual effects there.
The Oscar-winning film, Godzilla -1. Great effects with that one.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel film. What can you tell?
Also phenomenal effects there, yeah.
And I will say Supercell visual effects, I just want to say that it definitely has that because they utilized real tornado footage for most of the tornadoes in the film and incorporated it well into the feature.
Well, that's more editing, but using it, I'm sure you use effects to make it clean.
Basically it's making it seamless by adding the wind effects and the destruction effects and all those physics.
Okay.
With it.
Good times.
All right. Best production design in live action. I'm gonna just have you read the whole list here, and we're gonna move quick.
Okay. Best production design in live action: Asteroid City, Barbie, Evil Dead Rise, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
All right. Best production design in animation: Elemental, Nimona, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Super Mario Brothers the movie, and Wish. Not the company Wish.
Right. And shout out to Blaine the Heron, which almost made it. Character design and animation: Elemental, Kimitachi wa do Ikiru ka, The Boy and the Heron, the new film from Hayao Miyazaki, which may be his
current ones.
Biboda, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I do plan to have The Boy and the Heron watched by then. It's finally available on streaming, but I also have a physical copy coming to me, so I'll probably wait for that and get it.
Good deal.
Best makeup hair design: Barbie, Carousel 3, Evil Dead Rise, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, La Sociedad de la Nieve, Society of the Snow. Very intense film about this group of rugby players that crash on the mountain on the way to a game. Donner Party stuff.
The so-called Miracle of the Andes, and yes, the makeup in this was just incredible.
And Poor Things, of course.
Yeah. All righty. Best costume design: Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Barbie, first appearance of Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I wish that one had gotten more love. Evil Dead Rise, Poor Things, and Shingles the movie.
All right. Let's see here. Best sound: Evil Dead Rise, Ferrari, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, Shingles the movie, and its first appearance on this, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Dear God, you're going to make me watch this movie.
I watched a whole documentary on the sound and the score in this one, and it was really cool what they did. It really is. He actually made a honeycomb, a literal honeycomb violin for that film. It is kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
All right.
Okay, best score. You got Brian Tyler for the Super Mario Brothers movie, Mark Ronson and Andrew Wyatt for Barbie, the late Robbie Robertson for Killers of the Flower Moon, and the first appearance of a phenomenal high-ranked IMDb-ranked film, Shantanu Moitra's score for 12th Fail. We also have Stephen McKeon for Evil Dead Rise and Thomas Newman's absolute banger of a score for Elemental.
All right. Then Best Music in Film, 12th Fall, Barbie, Bono and the Edge, A Sort of Homecoming with David Letterman. First on that one. Was a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
A first-person shooter, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and Sean's Senior Year.
Good times. Okay, original song. You have this in micro print for some reason.
I was trying to get it all in one line instead of having it move around.
So, we have Bolo Na, By Swanand Kikire and Shantanu Moitra, the love ballad from 12th Fail. Can't Catch Me Now, the haunting folk tune by Olivia Rodrigo and Dan Nigro from the otherwise unnominated The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I Know It's True by Steve Rosinski from Shingles the Movie. I'm Just Ken, the Song of the Year by Mark Ronson and Andrew Wyatt from Barbie. Peaches by Jack Black, Aaron Horvath, Michael Jelenic, Ismond, and John Spiker from the Super Mario Brothers movie. And This Moment, I was shocked that you rated this one as high as you did, by Amanda Ibanez, Jacob Kasher, Dallas K, and Love from Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. And I do have to mention the song that almost made the cut because it's so freaking awesome and we have to make choices. Mike Shinoda and Jake Torrey's In My Head from Scream 6 was so close.
So best editing, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Evil Dead Rise, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, John Wick Volume 4, Chapter 4, Oppenheimer, and Shingles the Movie.
Good times. Cinematography we got Amityville Death Toilet, we got Evil Dead Rise, The Holdovers, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Supercell.
I'll give it this. Supercell actually had people who risked their lives to get that footage. Yeah. So that shows something there. Amityville Death Toilet is funny that I put that on there. I know there was a reason.
The impressive thing, I want to mention, The Holdovers takes place in the early 70s. It looks it. The cinematography, they did the best they could to make it a film from the 70s, and it's interesting.
All right. Best animation in film. Elemental. Kinitachi wa do Ikiru ka, Boy and the Heron. Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The Super Mario Brothers movie, and Wish.
Is this Wish's first appearance?
No. Wish was in an earlier appearance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was in, I think it was animated production or whatever, yeah.
I think it was character design or some such thing, but yeah.
The film that marked Disney's 100 years that definitely did not do as well as they'd hoped.
It was good. But yeah. Best animated feature. First appearance of, and I'm going to butcher this, I'm sure, Gwichak I Maraviska, or Cricket and Antoinette. Elemental, Nimona, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Then best film not in English language, 12th Fail, Godzilla -1, The Boy and the Heron, because I'm not saying that over and over again, The Conference, or Konferensen, which oddly enough is, I'm the one who put that one up.
I've not seen that one.
So it is great. As a horror movie, it is hilarious. When Kim found out it was up there, she was like, yeah, I like that film. La Sociedad de la Nieve, which of course we know that one. Society of Snow, very good. Mm-hmm. And then Zom 100, Zombie ni Narum, Made ni Shita, 100 no Koto, or Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead. I like that title better.
I have not seen that one.
Great. A great thing. And it'll be good. You can enjoy that because I don't think it's going to hurt you with the gore on it.
Okay.
And it's also short form of the anime, which I think you would like.
But of all the ones based on series, no love for Spy Family or for Lupin the Third versus Cat's Eye.
I didn't see either.
Huh?
I didn't see either.
You slacker. I'm disappointed. But then again, neither of us saw the Sailor Moon movie, so whatever. Yeah. And finally, best poster or cover design. Fun little category that is unique to the Versus Awards as far as we know. And these are some interesting covers. Amityville Death Toilet. Death Toilet 5, Invasion of the Potty Snatchers. First appearance of two really good movies that I wish had done better. Paint, an Owen Wilson star where he plays a small-town Vermont painter loosely based on Bob Ross, and Polite Society, a really fun movie from Britain that I described as Guy Ritchie and the Coen brothers had a love child that was obsessed with Bend It Like Beckham and Quentin Tarantino. And it's just a great fun film. And then we also have Poor Things and Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which I will give the movie this. It has an impressive poster.
It does. So, any case, keep an eye out for the Versus Awards page. There's a link down below. We have gotten all the crap out of it that had shown up over the time, all the spam. But the voting will occur there. I'll be setting that up probably next week or maybe even late this week as I set up these categories to vote via poll. And at the end of the month, we will be closing the polls out. And that'll be all she wrote. So get to watching and to do it, because the last of the month is the last day you can vote. Hope you've enjoyed this. We got to go because we got to go to another stream. But I hope you've enjoyed. Click that like and subscribe for any of these three and join the Versus Awards. It's going to be a fun year this year.
Indeed.
Bye-bye.